The moment Shanice leaned down next to my chair at the dinner table, I smelled her expensive perfume mixing with the sweet potato casserole I'd spent all morning making. Her lips were so close to my ear, I could feel her breath when she whispered those words that were supposed to destroy me. "I'm pregnant with your husband's baby, you tacky old woman." The whole family was there. My son Devin, my daughter Keisha, my grandbabies, my sister Louise, even my nephew Christopher and his wife. Everyone was laughing and passing plates around my dining room table like it was just another Sunday dinner. And here was my daughter-in-law, my son's wife of 8 years, trying to break my heart in the middle of my own home. I looked up at her pretty face with all that makeup she wore even to family dinners. Her eyes were cold and mean, waiting for me to cry or scream or fall apart. She wanted to see me shatter right there in front of everyone. Instead, I laughed. Not a fake laugh either. A real, deep laugh that came from my belly and made my whole body shake. I laughed so loud that everyone stopped talking and looked at me. "Grandma, you okay?" my granddaughter Amara asked, looking worried. I wiped my eyes and patted Shanice's hand real gentle. "Don't worry, dear," I said, smiling up at her. "Don't you worry about a thing." The confusion on her face was something beautiful. She stood up straight, looking at me like I'd lost my mind. Maybe she thought I was too old to understand what she'd just said. Maybe she thought I was senile. But I just kept smiling and went back to eating my collard greens like nothing happened. That was 3 weeks ago. And honey, let me tell you, these past 3 weeks have been very interesting. Before we continue, please drop a comment if you've ever experienced something like this. We'd love to hear your story and subscribe to the channel to help us grow. My name is Gloria Richardson, and I'm 72 years old. I've been married to Walter Richardson for 51 years. We built a good life together. Walter worked for the post office for 35 years before he retired, and I was a teacher at Lincoln Elementary for 40 years. We raised 2 children, Devin and Keisha, in our 3-bedroom house on Maple Street. We went to Mount Zion Baptist Church every Sunday without fail. We paid our bills on time, saved our money, and tried to raise our kids right. But somewhere along the way, something went wrong with Devin. He was always my sweet boy growing up, smart, kind, loved to help me in the kitchen. He went to college, got his degree in business, and we were so proud. Then he met Shanice Williams at some company party, and everything changed. Shanice came from money. Her daddy owned 3 car dealerships across the state, and she grew up in one of those big houses in the fancy part of town. She was beautiful, I'll give her that. Light skin, long hair, always dressed like she was going to a fashion show. But from the first time Devin brought her home to meet us, I saw something cold in her eyes when she looked at our modest little house. "This is cozy," she'd said, looking around our living room like it was some kind of museum exhibit. She didn't say it mean, but I knew what she meant. They got married anyway. Devin loved her so much, and I wanted my boy to be happy. Walter and I paid for half the wedding even though her daddy could have bought the whole thing with pocket change. We wanted to contribute, to show we supported them. The first few years were okay. They lived in a nice apartment downtown, both of them working good jobs. We'd see them for holidays and Sunday dinners when Shanice felt like coming. She always had some excuse about being tired or having other plans. But Devin would come by himself sometimes, and those were my favorite days. Then about 4 years ago, things started getting strange. Devin began asking Walter for money. Small amounts at first. $500 here, $1,000 there. Said they were having some tight months, some unexpected expenses. Walter would give it to him because that's his son, and Devin always said he'd pay it back. But he never did. The requests got bigger, so $2,000, $5,000. Once, he asked for $10,000, said they needed it for a down payment on a house. Walter took it out of our retirement savings and gave it to him. We never saw that house. I tried to talk to Devin about it. "Baby, what's going on with you and Shanice?" I asked him one day when he stopped by alone. He looked tired. more tired than any 36-year-old man should look. "It's fine, Mama. Shanice just has expensive taste, that's all. I'm working on a big promotion at work. Once I get that, everything will be better." But everything didn't get better. It got worse. Shanice started making little comments whenever she did come around. About our old furniture. About how we didn't have granite countertops or stainless steel appliances. About how Walter drove a 15-year-old Buick. About how I still wore the same dress to church I'd worn for 5 years. "Gloria, don't you want to update your style?" she'd say, smiling like she was being helpful. "I know this wonderful personal shopper who could help you look more contemporary." I'd just smile and nod. I'd been dealing with women like Shanice my whole life. Women who thought having money made them better than everybody else. Women who forgot where they came from or never had to struggle in the first place. But then she started working on Walter. My husband is a good man, but he's simple in the best way. He believes people when they talk to him. He trusts easy. And Shanice figured that out real quick. She'd come over and sit with him, asking about his health, his aches and pains. Walter had diabetes and high blood pressure, nothing unusual for a man his age. But she'd act so concerned. "Daddy Walter," she'd call him, which always made me want to roll my eyes. "You really should be taking better care of yourself. Devin and I worry about you so much." Then came the big push. About 6 months ago, Shanice and Devin came over for dinner. It was just the 4 of us. Shanice had made Devin's favorite dish, which should have been my first warning sign because Shanice didn't cook. She'd brought it in a fancy container from some expensive restaurant, but she tried to pass it off as homemade. After dinner, they sat us down in the living room. "Mama, Dad," Devin said, holding Shanice's hand, "we need to talk to you about something important." My stomach dropped. I knew that tone. That was bad news tone. "We think you two should consider moving into a retirement community," Shanice said, smiling that fake smile of hers. "Somewhere nice where you'd be taken care of, where you wouldn't have to worry about maintaining this big old house anymore." "Big old house?" Walter said, looking confused. "This is a 3-bedroom ranch. We've lived here for 45 years. "Exactly," Devin said, and I could hear Shanice's words coming out of his mouth. "That's a long time. The house is old, it needs work, and you're both getting older. What if one of you falls? What if something happens?" "We're fine," I said firmly. "We're not going anywhere." Shanice's smile got tighter. "Well, we were also thinking it might be good for you to sign the house over to Devin, for estate planning purposes. That way, when something does happen, God forbid, there won't be any complications with probate and taxes and all that mess." There it was. The real reason for this conversation. They wanted our house. "We'll need to think about that," I said, looking at Devin. My sweet boy couldn't even look me in the eye. "Of course. Take your time," Shanice said, standing up and smoothing her designer dress. "But don't take too long. These things are better done sooner rather than later." After they left, Walter and I sat in silence for a long time. "She wants our house, Walt," I finally said. "Devin wouldn't do that to us," he said, but he didn't sound sure. Over the next few months, the pressure got worse. Devin would call, asking if we'd thought about it. Shanice would drop by with real estate listings for senior communities. They even brought a lawyer friend over once to just explain the process. I stood firm. This was our house. We'd raised our children here. We'd paid off the mortgage with our own sweat and blood. Nobody was taking it from us. That's when Shanice changed tactics. She started being extra sweet to Walter. She'd come by when I was at my book club or out shopping. She'd bring him food, sit and watch his TV shows with him, act like she actually cared. Walter mentioned it to me a few times, saying how nice it was that Shanice was finally making an effort to be close to the family. I didn't trust it. Not one bit. Then came that Sunday dinner 3 weeks ago. I'd invited everyone over like I did most Sundays. I'd cooked all morning, making all of Walter's favorites. Fried chicken, mac and cheese, collard greens, cornbread, sweet potato casserole. The whole house smelled like love. Everyone was in a good mood. Even Shanice seemed happy, laughing and joking. I remember thinking maybe I'd been too hard on her. Maybe she was really trying. That's when she leaned down and whispered those poison words in my ear. "I'm pregnant with your husband's baby, you tacky old woman." After I laughed and told her not to worry, she spent the rest of the dinner looking confused and angry. Devin asked her twice if she was feeling okay. She barely ate. When everyone left, I didn't say anything to Walter. I just cleared the dishes and thought about my next move. Because you see, I knew something Shanice didn't know. My Walter couldn't have children with her or anyone else. Couldn't have for the past 20 years, ever since he had to have surgery for prostate cancer when he was 52. The doctors had been very clear about that. We'd made our peace with it. Grateful he'd survived and that we'd already had our children. So when Shanice said she was pregnant with Walter's baby, I knew 3 things for sure. 1, she was definitely pregnant. 2, the baby definitely wasn't Walter's. And 3, she was planning to use this lie to destroy my family and probably get her hands on everything we owned. I spent the next few days praying on it at church, talking to God about what I should do. Pastor Williams always said the truth would set you free, but sometimes the truth needed a little help getting to the light. That's when I remembered my friend Dorothy's daughter worked as a private investigator. I called Dorothy, got the number, and made an appointment. The investigator's name was Crystal Banks, and she was sharp as a tack. I told her everything. She didn't look surprised. "Mrs. Richardson," she said, "I see this kind of thing more than you'd think. People trying to run scams on elderly folks, even their own family. Let me do some digging." It took her a week. 1 week to uncover everything. Crystal came to my house on a Thursday morning when Walter was at his doctor's appointment. She laid out folder after folder of papers and photographs on my kitchen table. "Mrs. Richardson, you need to sit down for this," she said. Shanice wasn't just cheating. She was cheating with multiple men, including Devin's boss at work. That's how Devin kept getting passed over for promotions. Crystal had photographs, text messages, hotel receipts, everything. But that wasn't even the worst part. "She's been planning this for months," Crystal explained, showing me more documents. "She's got a lawyer. She's planning to claim your husband got her pregnant, convince Devin to leave you both, and then take you to court for alienation of affection and emotional distress. She's banking on you and your husband settling quietly to avoid the scandal, signing over your house and your savings to make it all go away." I felt sick. And Devin? From what I can tell, he doesn't know anything about the affair. He thinks his wife is faithful. She's been manipulating him, making him think his parents are the problem, that they're holding him back. Crystal pulled out one more document. This is the name of the real father. He's a lawyer at her father's company, married with 3 kids of his own. I don't think he knows about the pregnancy yet. I sat there looking at all this evidence, my hands shaking. 51 years of marriage, and someone was trying to blow it all up with lies. "What do I do?" I asked. Crystal smiled. Not a mean smile, but a smile that said she'd been waiting for this question. "Well, Mrs. Richardson, that depends. Do you want to just protect yourself, or do you want justice?" I thought about my grandbabies, sitting at that dinner table, having to watch their family fall apart because of this woman's greed. I thought about Devin, my sweet boy, being played for a fool. I thought about Walter, who'd worked honest his whole life and deserved to spend his final years in peace. "I want justice," I said. "Then here's what we're going to do," Crystal said, leaning forward. "First, we wait. Let her make her move. Let her think she's winning. Then, when the time is right, we drop all of this on her head like a ton of bricks." That was 2 weeks ago. Yesterday morning, Shanice called me. Her voice was sugar-sweet, dripping with fake concern. "Mama Gloria," she said, and I could hear the smirk in her voice. "I need to come by and talk to you and Daddy Walter. It's important. About the baby." "Of course, dear," I said, just as sweet. "Come by tomorrow afternoon. I'll make some tea." I hung up and called Crystal. "Tomorrow's the day," I told her. "I'll be ready," she said. "This is going to be good." Now it's today. 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Walter's sitting in his recliner, confused about why I asked him to dress nice and stay home from his card game. Shanice is pulling up in her expensive car right now, and in my purse, I have a folder. Inside that folder is every piece of evidence Crystal gathered. Photographs, text messages, financial documents, medical records proving Walter's condition, and yes, the DNA test results Crystal helped me arrange with the real father, who was very interested to learn about Shanice's pregnancy. The doorbell rings. Walter starts to get up, but I put my hand on his shoulder. "I got it, honey." I open the door and there's Shanice, wearing a tight dress that shows off her little baby bump. She's only about 3 months along, but she's making sure it shows. She's got Devin with her, too. My son looks nervous and won't meet my eyes. Come in," I say, stepping aside. They sit on the couch. Shanice has this satisfied look on her face, like a cat that caught a mouse. Devin's wringing his hands. "Mama, Dad," Devin starts. "Shanice has something to tell you, something that's going to be hard to hear, but we need to work through this as a family." Walter looks at me, confused. I just smile and fold my hands in my lap. Shanice takes a deep breath, putting her hand on her stomach. "Daddy Walter, Gloria, I'm pregnant, and I need to be honest with you about something." Here it comes, the big lie, the moment she's been building up to. The baby is Walter's. Walter's face goes white. "What? That's not possible. I can't." "You can't what, Daddy Walter?" Shanice interrupts, tears starting to form in her eyes. Real tears, too. She'd practiced this. "Can't admit what happened between us? Can't face what you did?" Devin stands up, angry now. "Dad, how could you?" This is it. This is the moment where she expects me to fall apart, where Walter protests but nobody believes him, where our family explodes and she gets everything she wants. Instead, I reach into my purse and pull out the folder. "Shanice, honey," I say calmly, "before you go any further with this story, there's something you should know." I open the folder and pull out the first document. It's a medical report from 20 years ago. This is from Walter's surgery, the one he had for prostate cancer, the one that left him unable to father children. I hand it to Devin. "Read it, baby. See the date. See what it says." Devin's hands shake as he reads. His face changes from anger to confusion to something else, something like horror. "So you see," I continue, looking at Shanice, whose face has gone pale under all that makeup, "the baby can't be Walter's, but it is somebody's, isn't it?" I pull out the next document, then the next. Photographs of Shanice kissing a man in a parking garage. Text messages talking about hotels and secret meetings. Bank statements showing charges at expensive restaurants and hotels on days she told Devin she was at the spa or shopping with girlfriends. "Stop," Shanice says, standing up. "Stop it." But I don't stop. I pull out the DNA test results. This is from the real father, a man named Kenneth Harper. Your father's corporate lawyer, married man with 3 kids. He was very surprised to learn about your pregnancy, by the way. Also very interested in the text messages where you told him you'd handle everything and he didn't need to worry. Devin drops the papers. He's staring at his wife like he's never seen her before. "Devin, baby, I can explain," Shanice starts, but Devin backs away from her. "You tried to frame my father," he says quietly. "You tried to destroy my family." "No, Devin, you don't understand. I did this for us. Your parents are holding you back. They're poor, they're old, they—" "Get out!" Devin roars, and I've never heard my son sound like that before. "Get out of my parents' house! Get out now!" Shanice looks at me, and for the first time, I see real fear in her eyes. Not the fake fear she'd been planning to perform. Real, actual fear. "You can't do this to me," she says. My father will— Your father already knows, I interrupt. Crystal Banks sent him a copy of everything yesterday, along with a copy to Kenneth Harper's wife, Devon's boss, and my lawyer. You see, dear, when you mess with a 72-year-old woman who has nothing but time, you better make sure you've covered all your bases. Shanice grabs her purse and runs out of the house. We hear her car peel out of the driveway. Devon collapses onto the couch, his head in his hands. He's crying. My strong, proud son is crying like a baby. Walter and I sit on either side of him, and I hold my boy while he breaks. I'm sorry, Mama, he keeps saying. I'm so sorry. I should have listened to you. I should have seen it. Hush now, I say, rubbing his back like I did when he was little. It's not your fault. Some people are just poison, and they hide it real well. We sit there for a long time, the three of us. Then Devon looks up at me, his eyes red. Mama, how did you know? How did you figure it all out? I smile. Baby, I've been dealing with folks trying to run games on me since before you were born. When Shanice whispered that lie in my ear at dinner, I knew exactly what she was trying to do, so I decided to let her think she was winning, while I built my case. What happens now? Walter asks. Now, I say. We wait and see what Shanice does next. Because, honey, I don't think she's done fighting yet. And I'm right. Because my phone rings right then. It's an unknown number. I answer it. You think you're so smart, you old witch, Shanice's voice hisses through the phone. But you have no idea what I'm capable of. I'm going to destroy you. I'm going to destroy all of you. And when I'm done... There's a sound of a car crash. Tires screeching, metal crunching, glass breaking. Then nothing but static and screaming. The phone goes dead. We all stare at each other in shock. Devon grabs his phone and starts calling Shanice's number. No answer. He tries again. Nothing. Oh my God, he whispers. What just happened? Then my phone rings again. This time it's a number I recognize. It's Crystal Banks. Mrs. Richardson, she says, and her voice is shaking. You need to turn on the news. Right now. Walter fumbles for the remote and turns on the TV. The news is showing aerial footage of a car accident on Highway 85. A silver BMW, Shanice's car, crumpled against a concrete barrier. Ambulances and police cars everywhere. Traffic backed up for miles. We're getting reports, the news anchor says, that the driver was on the phone when she lost control of the vehicle. The woman has been taken to Mercy Hospital in critical condition. Police are investigating whether distracted driving played a role in this single-vehicle collision. Devon drops his phone. His face is white as a sheet. I have to go, he says, standing up. I have to go to the hospital. Devon? I start, but he's already heading for the door. She's still my wife, Mama. No matter what she did, she's still my wife. And just like that, he's gone. Walter and I sit in silence watching the news coverage. My hands are shaking. I pick up my phone and look at it, the last call from Shanice still showing on the screen. She'd been calling me when she crashed, cursing at me, threatening me, and then... Gloria, Walter says softly. What have we done? I don't have an answer for that. All I know is that I'd wanted justice. I'd wanted to protect my family. I'd wanted to expose Shanice's lies. But I never wanted this. My phone buzzes with a text from Crystal. Mrs. Richardson, this is bigger than we thought. I found something else in Shanice's emails. Something you need to see before Devon finds out. Call me ASAP. I stare at the message, my heart pounding. What else could there possibly be? I called Crystal back immediately, my hands still shaking from watching that accident on the news. Walter had his hand on my shoulder, squeezing tight, both of us trying to process what had just happened. Crystal, what did you find? I asked when she answered. Mrs. Richardson, I need you to sit down, she said. This is bad. Really bad. I was already sitting, but I gripped the armrest of my chair harder. Just tell me. I found emails between Shanice and her father's lawyer, Kenneth Harper, the one who's the real father of her baby. They weren't just having an affair. They were planning something together, something bigger than just framing Walter. My stomach dropped. What do you mean? Mrs. Richardson, they were planning to kill Walter. The room started spinning. Walter looked at me, his eyes wide, knowing something terrible was coming. What? I whispered. It's all in the emails. Shanice was going to claim Walter got her pregnant. Then, after you signed over the house to avoid the scandal, she was going to slowly poison Walter. Make it look like his diabetes or heart problems got worse. Kenneth Harper helped her research what medications to use, what would look natural. They have life insurance policies, Mrs. Richardson. Big ones. On both of you. I couldn't breathe. This woman, this evil woman, hadn't just wanted our house. She'd wanted Walter dead. There's more, Crystal continued. Devin doesn't know, but Shanice took out those policies 6 months ago, forging your signatures. She's the beneficiary on all of them. If both you and Walter died, she'd get almost $2 million plus the house, plus Walter's pension and your teacher's retirement. She'd been planning this for a long time. Oh my God, I said. Walter was looking at me, confused and scared. I couldn't tell him yet. Not like this. I'm sending everything to the police right now, Crystal said. And Mrs. Richardson, there's something else. Something about Devin. What about my son? Shanice has been drugging him. Small doses of anxiety medication in his coffee every morning. Keeping him confused, compliant, easy to manipulate. I found receipts for prescriptions filled under fake names. That's why he's been so different these past few years. That's why he couldn't see what she was doing. Rage flooded through me. Pure, hot rage like I'd never felt before. This woman had tried to murder my husband, steal everything we owned, and had been poisoning my son's mind. Literally. Send everything to the police, I said, my voice cold and hard. Send it to the prosecutor. Send it to everyone who needs to see it. Already done, Crystal said. Mrs. Richardson, they're going to arrest her. As soon as she's stable enough at the hospital, they're going to arrest her for attempted fraud, attempted murder, forgery, and a whole list of other charges. Kenneth Harper, too. I sent his wife all the evidence. She's filing for divorce, and she's cooperating with the police. I hung up the phone and turned to Walter. I told him everything. Every single horrible thing. When I finished, my husband of 51 years had tears running down his face. She was going to kill me, he said. And Devin. She was hurting Devin. Not anymore, I said firmly. Not ever again. We sat there together, holding hands, until my phone rang again. It was Devin. Mama, he said, and his voice was strange, hollow. Can you come to the hospital? Please, I need you. We're on our way, baby, I said. The drive to Mercy Hospital took 20 minutes. Walter and I didn't talk much. What was there to say? We were going to see our son, whose wife had just tried to destroy our entire family, and was now lying in a hospital bed after crashing her car while threatening me. We found Devin in the waiting room. He looked like he'd aged 10 years in the past few hours. Keisha was there too. Our daughter must have heard what happened and rushed over. She hugged me tight when she saw me. Mama, what is going on? Keisha asked. Devin told me some of it, but it doesn't make sense. It will, I said. Where's Shanice? In surgery, Devin said quietly. She broke both her legs and her pelvis. Lot of internal injuries. They say she'll live, but it's going to be a long recovery. Just then, 2 police officers walked into the waiting room. One was a tall black man, probably in his 40s, with kind eyes. The other was a woman, white, serious-looking. Devin Richardson? The male officer said. Devin stood up. Yes? I'm Detective Marcus Johnson. This is Detective Sarah Chen. We need to talk to you about your wife, and we need to speak with Walter and Gloria Richardson as well. My heart was pounding, but I stood up straight. We're right here. They took us to a private conference room. Detective Johnson laid out several folders on the table, and I recognized some of the documents. Crystal had sent them everything. "Mr. and Mrs. Richardson," Detective Johnson said, looking at Walter and me. "We've received some very disturbing information about Shanice Richardson. Information about a plan to defraud you, and potentially much worse." He opened the folders and showed us printouts of emails, financial documents, prescription records. Everything Crystal had found, now official police evidence. Devin read through them, his face getting paler and paler. When he got to the emails about poisoning Walter, he stood up so fast his chair fell over. "No," he said. "No, this can't be real. Shanice wouldn't—" "Mr. Richardson," Detective Chen said gently, "we've verified all of this. We've already arrested Kenneth Harper. He's confessed to his part in the scheme. He's giving us everything to try to reduce his charges." Devin looked at me, his eyes desperate. "Mama, did you know about this?" "Not the murder plot," I said honestly. "Not until an hour ago. I knew about the affair, the fake pregnancy scheme, the plan to take our house. But the rest of it, the life insurance, the poison, I just found out." "We're going to need statements from all of you," Detective Johnson said. "And Mr. Richardson, I need to ask you some questions about your health. Have you been feeling unusually tired, sick, confused in the past few months?" Devin sat back down slowly. "Yes," he said. "I thought it was stress from work. I've been having trouble sleeping, trouble focusing. Shanice kept saying I should see a doctor, that maybe I had anxiety." "She was giving you medication," I said softly. "Drugging you, to keep you under control." My son put his face in his hands and cried. Really cried. Keisha wrapped her arms around him, crying too. The detectives took our statements. All of us, one by one. It took hours. They asked about the dinner where Shanice whispered to me, about the money Devin had given them over the years, about Walter's medical history, about everything. When they were done, Detective Johnson looked at me with something like respect. "Mrs. Richardson," he said, "if you hadn't figured out what she was doing and hired that investigator, your husband might be dead within a few months. You saved his life." "I just wanted to protect my family," I said. "You did more than that," he said. "You built a case, a solid case. When Shanice recovers enough to stand trial, she's going to prison for a long time." It was almost midnight when we finally left the hospital. Devin came home with us. He couldn't face going back to the apartment he'd shared with Shanice. Keisha took the kids home but promised to come back in the morning. The three of us sat in the kitchen, the same kitchen where this had all started to unravel. I made tea because that's what you do in a crisis. You make tea and you sit with the people you love. "I'm so sorry, Mama," Devin said for the 100th time. "I should have listened to you. I should have seen what she was." "Baby, she was good at hiding it," I said. "And she was drugging you, making you confused. This wasn't your fault." "I asked you for money," he said. "So much money. Money you and Dad needed for retirement." "We're going to get it back," Walter said firmly. "The police said they can help us file claims, get back what was stolen from us." Devin shook his head. "It's not just the money. It's everything. How do I trust anyone again? How do I believe anything is real?" I reached across the table and took my son's hand, the same way we all do, one day at a time, with the people who really love you, who've always loved you. Family, Devin. Real family. Over the next few weeks, things moved fast. Shanice recovered enough to be arrested in her hospital bed. The news covered the whole story. Local woman charged in elaborate murder and fraud scheme against elderly in-laws, the headlines read. Our quiet little life became very public very fast, but the community rallied around us. Mount Zion Baptist Church held a prayer service for our family. Pastor Williams came by the house almost every day to check on us. The ladies from my book club brought food. My former students, now grown with children of their own, sent cards and flowers. Devin moved back home with us for a while. He needed time to heal, to get the drugs out of his system, to figure out who he was without Shanice's poison in his life. He filed for divorce immediately. With all the evidence of adultery and criminal activity, his lawyer said it would be quick and clean. Kenneth Harper lost everything. His wife divorced him, took the kids, and got most of their assets. He lost his law license. And he was facing almost as many charges as Shanice. Shanice's father disowned her publicly. Came to our house to apologize personally, tears in his eyes, saying he'd raised a monster and never knew it. I almost felt sorry for him. Almost. The trial took 6 months to start. By then, Devin was doing better. He'd gone to therapy, gotten a new job at a different company, and was slowly rebuilding his life. Keisha had been his rock through it all, reminding him that not everyone was like Shanice, that good people still existed. The day of the trial, the whole family came to court. Me, Walter, Devin, Keisha, her husband Leon, even some folks from church. We sat in the front row, united. Shanice was wheeled in wearing a prison jumpsuit, still recovering from her injuries. She looked smaller somehow, less powerful without her designer clothes and makeup. She glanced at us once, and I saw something in her eyes. Not remorse. Rage. Pure rage that she'd been caught. The prosecutor was a sharp, black woman named Lorraine Foster. She laid out the case piece by piece. The fake pregnancy. The forged life insurance policies. The emails planning Walter's murder. The prescription fraud. The financial exploitation. All of it. Crystal Banks testified, explaining how she'd uncovered everything. The medical experts testified about Walter's condition and how the pregnancy claim was impossible. Kenneth Harper testified against Shanice, trying to save himself. Devin testified about the money, the manipulation, the drugs in his system. And then it was my turn. I walked to the witness stand in my best Sunday dress, the same one Shanice had once mocked me for wearing. I put my hand on the Bible and swore to tell the truth. The prosecutor asked me to tell the jury what happened at the family dinner. So I did. I told them about Shanice whispering her lie, about how I'd laughed, about how I'd known immediately it was impossible. "Mrs. Richardson," Lorraine Foster said, "why didn't you confront her immediately? Why did you wait?" "Because I knew she was planning something bigger," I said. "I knew that lie was just the beginning, and I wanted to make sure I had all the truth before I acted. See, my husband and I, we worked hard our whole lives. We built something good, and I wasn't going to let anyone take that away based on lies and schemes. So I did what any smart woman would do. I gathered my evidence, I built my case, and I waited for the right moment." And when was that right moment? When she came to our house to make her official accusation. When she tried to destroy my husband's reputation and steal our home. That's when I showed her the truth. The medical records, the DNA test from the real father, all of it. I looked directly at Shanice then. She was staring at me with pure hatred. "That DNA test," I said. "That's what ruined everything for you, didn't it? Because you'd built your whole plan on a lie and the truth just destroyed it all." The courtroom was silent. The jury was hanging on every word. "Mrs. Richardson," the prosecutor said, "what would you like to say to the jury about what this woman tried to do to your family?" I took a breath. She didn't just try to steal our money or our house. She tried to steal our peace, our dignity, our lives. She tried to turn my son against us, to poison my husband, to destroy everything we'd built over 51 years of marriage. But she failed. Because love is stronger than greed, truth is stronger than lies. And family, real family, can survive anything. When I stepped down from the witness stand, Devin was crying. So was Keisha. So was half the courtroom. Shanice's lawyer tried to spin it. Tried to claim she was mentally ill, that Kenneth Harper had manipulated her, that she never really meant to hurt anyone. but the evidence was too strong. The jury deliberated for less than 3 hours, guilty on all counts. The judge sentenced her to 25 years in prison. Kenneth Harper got 15. Both of them would be eligible for parole, but not for a long time. As they led Shanice out of the courtroom in handcuffs, she looked at me one last time. And this time, I didn't see rage. I saw defeat. Complete and total defeat. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed us, but Devin spoke for the family. "My mother is the strongest woman I know," he said, his arm around my shoulders. "She saved my father's life. She saved my life. And she taught me that no matter how dark things get, truth and love will always win in the end." That night, we had a family dinner at our house, the same house Shanice had tried to steal. I cooked all of Walter's favorites again, and this time, everyone who sat at our table was family. Real family. Pastor Williams said grace, thanking God for protection, for truth, for justice, and for love. We all said amen together. During dinner, Devin stood up with his glass of sweet tea. "I want to make a toast," he said, "to Mama and Dad, to 51 years of marriage, to building a life based on love and honesty, to showing me what real strength looks like, and to reminding me that home isn't just a house. It's the people in it who love you no matter what." We clinked our glasses together. Even the grandbabies joined in, not really understanding everything, but feeling the love in the room. Later, after everyone had gone home and it was just Walter and me cleaning up the kitchen like we'd done 1,000 times before, my husband pulled me close and kissed my forehead. "You saved us, Gloria," he said. "We saved each other," I corrected him. "That's what we've always done." A few months after the trial, Devin started dating again. Not seriously, just testing the waters. He was careful now, cautious, but he was healing. He'd gained back the weight he'd lost, the confusion in his eyes was gone, and my sweet boy was coming back to himself. The money Shanice and Devin had taken from us over the years, the courts ordered it all returned, plus damages, plus the value of the forged life insurance policies. We ended up with more money than we'd started with. Walter wanted to put it all in savings, but I had a different idea. "We should use some of it to travel," I said one morning over breakfast. "See some of the places we always talked about but never went." "Gloria Richardson," Walter said, smiling. "Are you suggesting we be spontaneous in our old age?" "I'm suggesting we live, Walter. Really live. We earned it." So we did. We took a trip to New Orleans, saw the jazz clubs, and ate beignets. We went to Savannah and walked through the historic district. We even flew to New York and saw a Broadway show. At 72 and 73 years old, we were having adventures. Devin used some of the returned money to start his own business. Something he'd always dreamed of but never had the confidence to try. Keisha helped him with the planning, and it was beautiful to watch my 2 children working together, supporting each other the way family should. One Sunday after church, about a year after everything happened, a young woman approached me. She was maybe 30, pretty, with kind eyes. "Mrs. Richardson?" she said nervously. "I'm sorry to bother you, but I wanted to thank you." "Thank me? For what, dear?" "I saw your story on the news, about what happened with your daughter-in-law. My own mother-in-law has been trying to get me and my husband to sign over our house to her, saying it's for estate planning. She's been making my life miserable, and I didn't know what to do. But seeing how you stood up for yourself, how you protected your family, it gave me the courage to say no, to get my own lawyer, to protect what my husband and I built together." I hugged that young woman right there in the church parking lot. "You're stronger than you know," I told her. "Don't ever let anyone make you feel small." That's when I realized something. What happened to us, as terrible as it was, it had a purpose. Our story was helping other people, giving them courage, showing them they didn't have to be victims. Pastor Williams asked me to speak at a women's conference at the church, to tell my story, to help other women who might be facing manipulation or elder abuse. I was nervous, but I did it, and the response was overwhelming. Women came up to me with their own stories, their own struggles, asking for advice. I became an advocate, started working with a local organization that helps elderly people protect themselves from financial exploitation. Crystal Banks and I teamed up to offer free workshops on recognizing scams and manipulation. It gave me a new purpose, a new mission. Devin met someone eventually, a good woman named Tamara who worked as a nurse at the hospital. She was patient with him, understanding about his past, and most importantly, she loved him for who he really was. When he brought her home to meet us, I saw it in her eyes. Real love. Not the fake, manipulative kind Shanice had pretended. Real, genuine love. "Mama, what do you think?" Devin asked me after Tamara left that first dinner. "I think she's wonderful," I said honestly. "But more importantly, what do you think?" "I think I'm scared," he admitted. "Scared to trust. Scared to get hurt again." "That's normal, baby. But you can't let fear stop you from living. Love is always a risk, but it's a risk worth taking when you find the right person." 2 years after the trial, Devin and Tamara got married. Small ceremony, just family and close friends. No expensive designer dress, no fancy venue, just love and commitment and truth. At the reception, Devin danced with me and he whispered in my ear, "Thank you, Mama, for saving me, for never giving up on me." "Baby," I said, "that's what mothers do. We protect our children. Always." Now, 3 years later, I'm 75 years old. Walter's 76. We're still in our little house on Maple Street, the house nobody could take from us. We still go to Mount Zion Baptist Church every Sunday. We still have family dinners, though they're different now. Better. More honest. Devin and Tamara just told us they're expecting a baby. Our first grandbaby from Devin, a fresh start. A new generation built on truth and love. Shanice is still in prison. She'll be there for a long time. I don't think about her much anymore. She was a chapter in our lives, but she's not the whole story, not even close. Sometimes people ask me if I regret how everything happened, if I wish I'd handled it differently, and I tell them the truth. I regret that my son got hurt. I regret that he wasted years of his life with someone who didn't deserve him. But I don't regret standing up for my family. I don't regret fighting back. I don't regret using my brain and my resources to protect the people I love. Because at the end of the day, that's what life is about. Protecting what matters. Standing up for truth. And never, ever letting anyone make you feel like you're too old, too weak, or too insignificant to fight for what's right. I'm Gloria Richardson. I'm 75 years old. I've been married for 54 years, and I'm still here. Still standing, still strong. And that DNA test? The one that proved Walter couldn't be the father? The one that exposed all of Shanice's lies and started the unraveling of her whole evil scheme? That DNA test didn't just ruin the shrew. It saved my family. It brought us back together. It reminded us what really matters. And honey, that's a victory worth celebrating. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to subscribe and feel free to share your story in the comments. Your voice matters.